Hey everyone, this is gonna be me yapping about the recent state of play. If you see my live video, with me and Goose, thanks Goose for appearing. Um, I was a little disappointed. This video, I'm really gonna talk about my thoughts on the Laufey God of War Laufey trailer. I I loved I love what I saw in terms of the graphics, the direction of the action when there was action. Now I want to talk about the things that I didn't really like. The trailer was way too long. It was 20 minutes long, and there's a lot of walking, a lot of talking. And usually when I see trailers, I either get goosebumps or I don't. When I get goosebumps, I know, okay, this thing is like screaming at me, like, yeah, I need to check it out. But I got none of that when I saw it. I got none of those feelings when I saw it. I would love this thing to be a demo, to experience, but I understand why. Um, Over recent like day and a half after seeing the state of play, I was looking at the trailer once again, and I was talking to my sister, and she put some things into perspective because she didn't like the trailer when she first saw it, but she first put some things in perspective after like we kind of chewed it and looked at the trailer and figured out, okay, how do we really feel. I don't know if you guys have seen Mr. Matty Plays, but he articulated it perfectly. The trailer reminds me a lot of the house style of Sony, where things are just overly produced. There's not a lot of weight in terms of narrative or feeling behind it. Things just look pretty for pretty sake. And then when you peel back and play it or experience it, it falls short. It's very hollow. It's just overly produced, overly stylized. That being said, this was just a trailer. This is not the actual game, but I might explain the reason why I didn't really like Horizon Forbidden West. The story was garbage. What they did to Var, I didn't like. I didn't appreciate that. Ragnarok, what they did to Sindri and his whole character development, how they butchered that, and just the story. Atreus, I really didn't like anything Atreus did. Yeah, this is teenage years or whatever, pre-adolescent years, whatever. But I thought it was just a really waste of time. I didn't want to experience Kratos's getting the stellar groove back with Freya. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I didn't really like the story or narrative focus on that. I have not played Ghost of Yotai yet. Some people love it, some people hate it. But back on the Laufey trailer, I think, and it wasn't just the dialogue that kind of irked me. I mean, the God of War had, kind of anachronistic dialogue too, and this place is where Laufey is. She's in a place where time and space kind of do their own thing, and you're meeting people from the future, you're meeting people from the past, you meet people who died. So like that whole time element to it is kind of plays into effect. But the more I thought about the possibilities, the potentialities of Laufey and what it could be, I think this game has the potential to be not only huge, but narratively really, really great for the God of War series, and I'll explain why. We know that Faye was the one that, quote unquote, tamed Kratos. She got him back on his feet after his exile. He's been in exile, I guess, for about 1,000 years from Greece, and he's been roaming around the world. And I think they explained some of this in like the comic of God of War 2. But she's bad too. She went toe to toe with Thor. She's the guardian of Midgard. So before Kratos came along and did his thing, she was one of the only few guardians out there ensuring that Thor didn't just run up and rape and kill and do whatever he wanted to everybody. She was there. She was the last bastion to keep him at bay. and that's very intriguing. That's very intriguing. I mean, literally, Kratos is carrying around her axe and stuff like that. But what I think the potentialities in the Laufey story could be is that there are a lot of loose threads that were connected to Kratos. There's one big thread that we saw come back in 2018 when Kratos finally got down and got his Blades of Olympus back. And that was Athena. Athena is a loose thread, someone who's not out of the picture. She has not been out of the picture in a long time. She's always found a way to come back. She's always found a way to be in Kratos' mind. And this will be the prime opportunity for her to get her vengeance on Kratos for taking away the one thing that she thought she was going to get, which was the Blade of Zeus, that power. She also wanted hope. She also wanted the power of hope, because she told in the game, she's like, yeah, men, they don't know how to use it. They won't know how to use it. Give it to me and I'll help them, work around it and stuff like that. And Kratos like, nah, I'm just gonna give it to the world and kill myself or whatever. If you played the game, this is what you saw. This was in God of War 3. But I think the possibilities of Faye going against Athena, or Athena working something out with other gods to stop her or stop Atreus or just be a thorn in his side, the possibility is endless. And it'll be great to have I know Sekhmet is in this game. She looks great. I think it's Benki, I think his name was, the flame demon guy. He's in this game, but it seems like she's going to take him out early. But the whole aspect of having another woman goddess fight or go toe-to-toe with another woman goddess, because it seems like Faye is, I think Benki called her godling or whatever, so there's godhood within her, or that's what the story is making it out to be. So yeah, I think that's very intriguing. I think another aspect of it is having Zeus also come back into full effect and be a thorn in either Faye's side, or finding a way to either go after Atreus, because Atreus, he fucked off somewhere and is going on his journey to find more giants. And I think this game could kind of tie into seeing where Atreus is in his journey, because the things that happened in 2018, like who blew the horn when Atreus and Kratos were at the lake? Somebody blew the horn, and it wasn't them, to bring Jormungandr. So it probably was Faye. Faye was probably one, because she can speak that language. It was probably her that did it. I don't know, but narratively, that's what it looks like. Another thing about this is that I don't know. These are things that I don't want it to go narratively, because these are things that I saw in Ragnarok that I did not like. I don't want it to get to the aspect of Faye going to different cultures and just slaying gods of different cultures. I don't want that. That whole colonization of different cultures, I didn't want that. It seemed like that's what they're gonna do with Kratos, maybe, I don't know. But putting her in everyone to be like this like gladiator arena world where she's fighting different gods, and she has a sword that can break souls and kill the gods because she can kill their souls. That's an aspect that is intriguing, but that's something that I don't want her to kind of just go to every single god in different cultures and start killing. That's a no-no for me. If that's what this is going to be, and I don't want Kratos to do it, then I really just don't want to see that. Another part that I didn't like in God of War Ragnarok was Kratos and Freya, their relationship. I understood that, yes, I need Freya to stop Odin, and them growing closer after her witnessing him killing her son, and in the whole beginning of God of War Ragnarok, her trying to get vengeance on Kratos, and then over the course of the story, they put aside their hatchet, bury their hatchets, and they come together and they're bonding. What I don't want to see from Faye or future games is that Kratos finally kind of gets with Freya, They have a kid. Atreus meets up with either Kratos, or hears about Kratos gone missing from his lost sister, his secret half sister or half little brother. And they probably named the little sister after his first daughter or whatever. I don't want that, because for one, I think narratively Kratos' story should have ended in Ragnarok. I think he needs to die. But I understand that, like, he literally cannot die. He was literally cursed to not be able to die. He has to live on. He's going to feel all the pain. He's going to feel all these, like, things that are going on with him. But for Sony to keep him around long past, I think, narratively his strongest moment, which was having Kratos, which was guiding Kratos to be the best god that he could be, watch him on his own. I think it almost dilutes, in my eyes, Kratos. We're prolonging him on this road, and that's something I don't want to see. If we're gonna do God of War and carry on Atreus, Atreus needs to learn how to be a god the best he can on his own, going on his own journeys, meeting up with his own friends or enemies or whatever. I think Sindri would be a great villain for him throughout the course of the story, because he was done dirty. I think there's a lot of meat on the bones of that story, and I think Laufey will be able to bridge those threads together. But yeah, I think the reason why I did not, and the reason why I didn't initially like this story, it has nothing to do with Faye being a woman. I don't think if you have a critique about a trailer starring a woman leading her own game necessarily means that you hate women, or you dislike women in games. I don't think that. I think being a man and me critiquing a trailer with a woman, yes, it does open the door to some of those biases that come out. And I've heard what Cory Balrog, the former director of God of War, has said, as far as this trailer looks very Pixar-y, and there's why is there all this stuff going on, and yada yada yada. And I believe that some people are stuck in the past. They're still stuck in the OG God of War phase, where it's just blood and tits and sex and murder and guts and blood and murder, which is all well and good. And 2018 kind of added layers to that, and maybe they've added too many layers. And this is maybe something I kind of agree with Cory Balrog. Maybe they've added too many layers that we're kind of just getting away from the aspect that, regardless of how you feel Kratos' development is, he is a monster. He is a monster, and some monsters suffer, some monsters last forever. But I think Kratos is a monster who's had his redemption. He's gone through his journey, his multiple journeys, and I think it's time to put him to bed. I think it's time to put him to bed. I can understand why Sony doesn't want to do that. Financially, we don't want to do that, because Atreus as a character is not strong enough to take on the series of God of War. And I think having Faye have her own game is we're dipping our toe into the pond to see if she takes off, if she's able to carry the series, if she's able to outsell units. That it would mean that Faye is strong enough to carry her own series. And that would be good for Sony, that would be good for Santa Monica, that would be good for the lore of God of War, because not only do we have another strong female protagonist, we have another series we can kind of branch off to and do things on our own, which is great. Which is great. But what I don't want to get is having someone like Kratos exist long after his usefulness has ended. Narratively, after his usefulness has ended. I don't want to see him be another dad again. I don't want to see him grow his hair out. Find some way to cover up the ashes on his skin. I'm not saying this is what happened, but Kratos has done so much, and even though he's had his redemption and he saved, Midgard and done all these things, he still has to pay. He still has to. There's a reckoning with Kratos, and I think Athena will be the great reckoning for Kratos. I think Zeus coming back will be a great reckoning. I think somewhere bringing back Deimos that they can possibly bring back Deimos' brother, that would be a great reckoning. Having these things from the past, having Kratos experience these things from the past, and having these things from the past come after his loved ones again, in some manner, and having Faye be the one to put them to bed would be a nice send-off for Kratos, saying like, me and your son have got it from here. You can rest. Your son and I will carry this forward. That would be a nice send-off for Kratos. And some of you may agree, some of you may not agree. I don't know. But I think the initial reason why I did not like the trailer was because I didn't feel a narrative pull with Faye. Because I was so disappointed in the state of play. I didn't see Bloodborne. I didn't see that. Another part of it was the trailer's way too long. Another part of it was there's a lot of walking, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of action, but nothing struck a chord in me. But as I watched it a dozen more times, I could appreciate the possibilities of what this game could be. I also think, and I just want to close out, I think another great thing about Faye and watching her like kick a lot of ass, because she's a great fighter, she's a better fighter than Atreus for damn sure. This is kind of a nice, and my sister brought this up initially. She said this is what the Wonder Woman game should have been. Faye is literally carrying the torch for a possibility maybe someday down the road of a Wonder Woman game. You know, she's a goddess, she has a sword, she's kicking butt, she's doing all these things. It's gritty. She doesn't have an arrow. She's not a healer. You know, I mean, she probably is, but like the things that we saw from her, she's going toe to toe with gods. She's going toe to toe with a lot of things that are being thrown at her, and she's given as much as she's getting, and it's great to see that. As a gamer that appreciates, you know, women kicking ass. You know, I love Lara Croft. I love 2B. I love V. I love Commander Shepard. I love most of the time I play games, I choose the women because they're voice acted better. They just come across more engaging versus the men. There's something that falls kind of flat. I even like what was it, Cassandra and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So, but yeah, that's kind of all I got. I just wanted to kind of set the record straight. Yes, I was initially disappointed with the Faye trailer, and it was because of my own disappointment. But another part of it was there is a certain house style that I'm recognizing, that I'm seeing in a lot of the Sony games in terms of the cinematics and gameplay and the narrative thrust of it, where this reminds me of this, which reminds me of this, which reminds me of this, which is, I can trace it back to this. And there seems to be kind of like a house style with a lot of Sony games where it's a dad boy simulator or a dad girl simulator or a mom boy simulator. There's something going on with injecting, and there's nothing wrong with that story. It's a very intriguing story. But there has to be more than I'm going to save my kid, or I'm going to save my husband and kid, or I'm going to figure out what's going on and get me out of this area because of vengeance, because I want to save my son and husband, or, you know, whatever. There has to be something more than we can talk about other than this. And I hope, other than what I initially saw in Faye, we can experience more of Faye other than that. I would love to see if hopefully they have it in the game, the early years of when Kratos first came to Norway, and met Faye, and we see Faye in a younger setting, you know, trying to figure out who the hell are you? I know you're a god, but what are you doing in Norway? And their whole relationship, their blossoming of their relationship. It'd be great to see, but I don't know. We may never see that. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm yapping. I just want to kind of yap about it because it was very strong thoughts. I love the Wolverine trailer, of course. I loved the Silent Hill Townfall trailer. Those were great. It was great seeing Ikumi Nakamura again and her game and stuff like that. There are a lot of good things about the state of play, but they're overall my disappointment of not seeing the things that I wanted, and this whole 20-minute showcase, which didn't really pull me initially. I just felt I had to say something about it. So yeah. Thank you all for, continue to be on my channel, subscribe. If you like what I had to say, feel free to like, share, subscribe. I'll try to post more videos. Yes, I am still working on the 12 Angry Men video. It will be out hopefully before the beginning of Tuesday. I'll try to get it out this weekend. But I am working on it. It's still working on it. I just had a lot of things that I want to say and a lot of things that I want to do. And I'm really happy, even though there's some technical difficulties with the stream. I'm really happy the way it turned out and the way people are watching it. So I definitely will try to do more streams in the future. My computer's just, it's dying. She's letting me know she's on her last leg. She's tired, and I'm trying not to push her as much. So there'll probably be more videos like this where I'm talking into my phone in my car or at my house or whatever. But yeah, you guys have a great day. I'll catch you next one. Cabs out.